I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect my whole life to tilt sideways on a Tuesday morning just because some polished stranger decided to scream, "You're on my land right in the middle of my field." Yeah. Out of all the things I thought I'd hear while mowing the same patch of dirt I've known since I was 12, that one wasn't on the list. You know what I mean? One minute I'm feeling the sun on my neck, the hum of my dad's old tractor under me, and the next, boom, apparently I'm a criminal on my own land. Let me back up a sec because my father used to say, a man's land will outlive his mistakes, his victories, and his pride if he tends it right. I grew up on that belief. I could have walked our 12 acres blindfolded and still told you where the soil rolled from clay to loam just by how it felt under my boots. That morning was nothing special. Blue sky, quiet breeze until she came marching across the field like she was storming Normandy with nothing but a yoga mat and entitlement. Karen Winslow, mid-40s, tennis court, tan, a haircut that probably cost more than my monthly feed bill, and a voice sharp enough to cut wire. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just aimed her phone at me and yelled, "You're on my property." I killed the engine, blinked. Thought maybe heat stroke was finally getting me. "Ma'am," I said, "I think you're mistaken. My father mowed this field long before your house was poured. I'm calling the police." She snapped like she was offering me a favor. And she did. 20 minutes later, a cruiser rolled up and the officers talked to her first, of course. She handed them a wrinkled printout that looked like she ripped it from Zillow on the way out the door. The younger cop nodded like she'd given him one of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Meanwhile, I'm standing there trying not to explode, telling them I've got the deed, the survey, hell, I've got photos of my dad cutting this grass when Nixon was still in office. Didn't matter. They asked me to vacate the area for safety. Safety. For my own dirt. I went home fuming. Boots still on, I tore into my filing cabinet, pulled out the original deed, the fresh GPS-plotted survey, everything notarized, stamped clean as a whistle. Then I drove straight to the county office. Dana, the clerk who knew my family, confirmed everything in under 2 minutes. "Banner land, 12 acres, boundaries intact," she said. Easy. Simple. Done. So why did the sheriff's report make me sound like a trespassing lunatic? Because Karen was already spreading her poison. A friend sent me a screenshot from a Facebook group I'd never heard of. There she was, posting about a dangerous man operating equipment illegally and feeling threatened. You'd think I'd swung the tractor at her. Comments poured in, people who'd never met me calling me unstable, aggressive, a tractor creep. I swear you can't make this stuff up. Within days, strangers were walking my fence line like they were auditioning for CSI Pasture Edition. Then came the laminated sign she stuck in my field marking some imaginary property line. Then spray paint. Then a letter from her lawyer telling me to cease agricultural operations. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. But it hit me she wasn't just asserting her ego, she had a plan. And I found out just how big that plan was when my attorney Paul Grant connected the dots. Turns out Karen wasn't just some new neighbor with a superiority complex. She was tied to a real estate group, Blue Ridge Land Partners, the same group submitting quiet zoning inquiries for underutilized agricultural land in our county. Guess what parcel number showed up on their map? Mine. Karen wasn't protecting her home. She was weakening mine. And things escalated fast. She planted fake survey flags on my field, built a flimsy plastic fence, filed environmental complaints claiming I poisoned the groundwater. She even hosted a community gardening meeting where she showed a fake map with my land labeled Future Bee Sanctuary. Cute, right? Except it was part of a textbook land devalue and seize strategy. But I didn't sit quietly. Paul and I filed cease and desist letters, zoning complaints, preservation orders. We installed small agricultural markers for a bee research permit, completely legal, and set up cameras. She took the bait. One night she snuck out in rain boots and kicked one of the hive boxes, caught on video clear as day. That clip alone was enough for charges, but she wasn't done. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. A private investigator I hired, big guy, Looked like he could bench press a lawnmower dug into her past. Karen Winslow wasn't even her real name. She'd changed it after a civil settlement. She'd done this before. 4 counties, 2 states, always next to land the developers wanted. Always stirring disputes, always quietly paid for her consulting work. And guess who else was involved? The smirking young cop who backed her that first day. He had a history, 2 falsified reports in another county tied to land disputes. He transferred here 6 months before Karen arrived. It wasn't a feud, it was an operation. That's about when Karen stepped off the cliff. One night she trespassed again, this time with 2 white jugs. My trail cam caught her pouring a chemical line straight across my field. The next morning the soil was dead, burned to ash. The environmental officer confirmed it was industrial solvent. She hadn't just tried to steal my land, she tried to kill it. We sent the footage to the Environmental Crimes Division, the AG in the county. Paul filed for injunctions, damages, fraud, conspiracy, the whole arsenal. And just when the pressure got too hot for her, she filed an adverse possession claim on my 6 acres. That was the final straw. I went nuclear. Channel 6 News picked up the story. Reporters started digging. Someone no idea who leaked her old lawsuits. Karen tried a press conference with crocodile tears and patriotic banners, but the internet already had her number. People weren't buying the act. Then came the hearing. Let me tell you, walking into that courthouse felt like walking into a boxing ring. I wore my clean jeans and good boots. Karen showed up dressed like she was about to get baptized in public sympathy. Behind her sat neighbors she'd charmed. Behind me, Harvey, 2 farmers, a zoning clerk, my attorney, and a state environmental investigator. Not bad for a guy supposedly dangerous with a tractor. Paul presented our case like he was slicing a steak. Deeds, GPS surveys, photos. Harvey swearing under oath he helped build the original fence in 1972. Then the kicker, the footage of Karen kicking the beehive, the footage of her pouring chemicals, the money trail, the deleted profiles, the cozy messages with the disgraced officer, the conspiracy pattern. Her lawyers tried everything. Unverified footage, misunderstood boundaries, emotional distress. The judge wasn't having it. In one breath, she shut Karen down. Karen was barred from my property. Her adverse possession filing was struck from the record. She was referred for criminal charges, environmental sabotage, fraud, false reporting. The officer was suspended. Blue Ridge's zoning proposal evaporated. They scattered like roaches under a kitchen light. 2 months later, frost covered the field. Karen's house went up for sale under a 3rd-tier agent. Charming, modern farmhouse, the listing said. Left out the whole crime scene part. Karen pled out 18 months minimum security, 4 years probation. The county fined her, the state opened investigations into Blue Ridge, and the judge awarded me $250,000 in damages. But the real victory wasn't the money or the headlines or even watching the plastic fence get hauled away like the trash it was. It was standing in that field again, quiet. Clean frost glittering across the ridge, and knowing the land was mine the way it had always been. Untouched. Unbroken. My daughter asked me one evening, "Dad, is it over?" And I told her what I'll tell you now. It's over for now. But every time someone thinks this place is easy prey, they're going to learn the same thing Karen did. Land remembers, and so do I. So let me ask you, what would you have done if someone tried to steal the dirt your family bled for? Would you have fought back the same way? Or walked away? I'd honestly love to hear it. And if you've ever had a neighbor, war, a land dispute, or a battle with someone who thought rules didn't apply to them, drop your story below. Subscribe for more real-life justice, and tell me, what does fairness look like in your world?